Hi everyone, welcome to NACE Maximo Moments. My name is Jalen Larita, and for today's Lunch and Learn, we'll walk through preventive maintenance and job plan sequencing. If you have any questions during the course of this session, feel free to unmute your mic or submit them in the Q&A, and someone from my team will respond or let me know. Just a quick note before we get started, most of you have already been trained on PM creation, so I'll try not to spend too much time on building PMs from scratch. I'll do a refresher first, then we'll shift our focus to job plan sequencing, which is really the main topic we wanted to cover. So what is preventive maintenance? At a high level, preventive maintenance is how we schedule recurring maintenance work in Maximo. The goal here is to stay proactive, reduce unplanned downtime, avoid emergency work, and extend equipment life. And most of your environments have already have PMs automatically generating work orders through a cron task. And if that's not set up for your site and you'd like to use it, definitely reach out to us and we can help get that configured for you.
Jaylee, just a note, we still see. Okay, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, is everyone seeing the slides here?
Yes.
Yes, now
Yes.
it is. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So there's three main types of PMs. Time-based, this can be on a fixed or floating schedule based on calendar intervals. Meter-based, which is based on usage. And time and meter-based, which uses both time and meter readings, whichever comes first. And you'll typically choose one depending on how your asset operates, whether it's time-driven or usage-driven. And these are your core components for a PM. And the key takeaway here is that the PM defines when work happens, whereas the job plan defines what work is done. And that distinction becomes important once we get into sequencing. So first, we're going to talk about time-based PMs here. For these, you're just defining a calendar frequency, which can be set as weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual, etc. And there's nothing too complex here. This is the most common setup. And you'll see in the screenshot that this is a time-based PM set to generate work orders every month, 1 month, with the next one generating with the due date of today's date. And I also want to note that if you do have the PM to work order cron task turned on, time-based PMs will only auto-generate work orders if there is a next due date entered and the PM is in active status. So next I'm going to talk about meter-based PMs. These are driven by usage. And the important thing here is making sure that your meter is properly entered and attached to the PM, and the readings are being entered consistently on the asset or location that it's associated with. So if the meter readings aren't maintained, these PMs won't trigger correctly. So in the screenshot here, I've added a meter called run hours to the PM and configured it to generate work orders for the asset at 250-hour intervals, and which you'll see under the frequency column there. And setting up a time and meter-based PM. So these PMs combine both time and meter logic. Maximo will trigger the work order based on whichever condition is met first. And this becomes really useful for assets where usage isn't always predictable. Okay, so now we're shifting into a little bit about job plans. A job plan defines the actual work, so this would include tasks, labor, materials, services, and/or tools. And you can think of this as your standard template that gets copied onto the work order. So when a PM generates a work order, both the PM and job plan number are carried over along with its tasks, planned materials, planned labor, and attachments. So this is just a screenshot of the PM with its job details with the job plan number and PM number. So now we're going to move on to job plan sequencing. And this is the main concept I wanted to focus on today. Job plan sequencing allows you to assign multiple job plans to a single PM based on cycle frequency. So instead of creating separate PMs for monthly, quarterly, annual work, you can manage all of that under one PM using sequences. Then Maximo evaluates the sequence number assigned and applies the appropriate job plan based on that cycle. And this helps reduce duplicate PMs, and it helps cut down on unnecessary work orders. And what I mean by that is that only one work order is generated at each frequency. So you wouldn't get like 3 different work orders on the 12th occurrence or something like that. And we'll get into all of this once I switch over to the demo. But yes, in this example here, this is going to be for pump maintenance. On the PM, we would set up 3 sequences, of which a monthly PM would just cover the visual inspection, quarterly PMs would do an inspection plus grease bearings, and then annual PMs would, for example, be a full tear down inspection. Okay, and then just quickly highlighting a couple additional tabs here. The PM hierarchy lets you group PMs together using a parent-child relationship. And the forecast and forecast cost tabs allow you to project upcoming work and costs. So these are definitely helpful for planning, but not required for basic PM setup. Okay, so at this point, we'll switch over to our NACE Maximo demo site and walk through how the job plan sequencing is set up on PMs. And I'll walk through an example of PM where job plan sequencing needs to be added and how Maximo determines which job plan to use during work order generation. So with that, I'll just get set up here. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So right now I'm logged into the demo site. And as a side note, if you like access to our NACE demo instance, feel free to let us know and we can send you credentials so you can log in and explore the demo data on your own. Okay, so I'm going to navigate over to the PM application, and it's going to be under PM or preventive maintenance, and then just click preventive maintenance here. I'm going to search for a specific PM, so I am going to search pump in the description. And I'll use this one for the example. Okay, so right off the bat, you'll notice that this PM is currently in draft status, so it hasn't been activated yet, which means it is not being included in the PM to work order auto generation. And then looking at the PM description, you can see it's kept pretty broad, and that's intentional because the description carries over to the work order. So generally, you don't want to include things like specific frequencies in the description here. And instead, more detailed information about the work itself should live in the job plan description. Okay, and then moving down here, it's already assigned to a specific pump asset, and work type has been set to PM. So next in the frequency tab, which I'm going to move over here, you see that this is set up as a time-based PM, and I'm going to enter a next due date here with today's date. And save the record. So since the first job plan sequence is going to be monthly, the frequency needs to be set to 1 month. and this becomes our base interval. So all of the sequencing values are calculated by multiples of this. All right, so I'm going to skip over to the job plan sequence tab here. And this is where we define which job plans gets used and when. And like we talked about earlier, I'm going to add the monthly, quarterly, and annual job plans relevant to pump maintenance here. So I'm just going to hit new row, job plan, select value, search for the description pump. And then our 3 job plans come up. So it's going to be the full tear down at 12 months, grease bearings at 3 months, and then pump inspection at 1 month. So I'll add the 1 month, and I'll add each. Okay, so the monthly sequence will have a value of 1 because it comes in at every month. The quarterly will be 3, and the annual will generate a work order at every 12th occurrence. So I'm going to enter in 12 there. And then once you have the job plan sequences set, you can save the record. And there's actually a view sequence action on the left here. So if I click that, this is going to display the projected order of job plans to be used on future work orders. And looks like it displays the next 200. Yeah, but yeah, for example, you'll see the 1 month coming in at the next 2 months. And then at the third sequence, it's going to be the pump inspection and grease bearings. And then down here at the 12th occurrence, the full tear down inspection job plan will be used. Okay. And then you could also generate a forecast to forecast work order dates and cost. So I'll go into the forecast tab here. So we can generate a forecast without creating any work orders. So for example, if I click generate forecast here on the left, I want to forecast out 12 months. So I would click this date icon here, go to 2027, let's say June 30th. And then hit OK. So this is going to allow you to see what work orders will be coming out within that time frame. And it looks like I have to activate the PM first, so I'll do that. Okay, and then let's generate that forecast. Okay, so yep, like I talked about, it's going to show you all the upcoming work orders for the time frame selected and what dates they'll be coming out with, and then as well as the job plan. So you'll notice that the B is the monthly, the A's is the quarterlies, and then here's the annual down here. Then under forecast cost, we can calculate the projected cost for the forecasted work. So I'm just going to hit calculate cost to push that calculation. All right, and then you'll notice that the costs are separated based on each sequence, which gives you a clearer picture of how your maintenance costs vary over time. And as expected, you'll see that the annual occurrence, where is it here? Here it is. The annual occurrence is at a higher cost than the monthlies and quarterlies because there are likely more planned labor and materials involved in the work. And then down here, you'll see a breakdown of all labor, material, services involved with the forecasted work that is selected. So right now I have the annual selected, and then you'll see the different labor, planned materials and costs for each. And then if I want to, I can switch over to like a quarterly. And then there's no materials planned here, but you'll see that there's planned planned labor. Okay. And then since we have already activated the PM, Maximo will begin generating work orders based on this next due date. So there should be one that generates tonight, and it's going to depend on the lead time as well as the job plan sequence. Okay, so let me switch back over to my presentation. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I have a question
Yeah.
for you. So whenever it kicks out that work order from this PM, they're all going to look the same, right? It's just going to say pump maintenance.
That is
right?
correct. The work order descriptions will all be the same, and I can manually generate work orders just to show you as an example. Let's generate work orders. You know what? Let's generate work orders up to a year from now, actually, just for demo purposes. So all of those forecasted work orders with those dates should come out.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I mean, this is good. I'm just wondering how, when you look at it, you're going to realize that it's a different.
Right.
It's the 12-month versus the 3-month. You know, you're going to have to go in and look specifically at the job plan, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is going to take a little bit just because I think it's generating 12 or 13 work orders here. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to head over to the work order application, which is going to be under the work orders module and then work order tracking. Okay, let's just search for those pump ones. Here we go. All right, and then, yep, so 13 work orders generated, and you'll see the target start, so the due date is set here. And you're right, so the description is going to be just pump maintenance. However, if you click into the work order, scroll down, you'll see the job plan assigned and the description here, which is pump inspection 1 month. And then if we go to the next work order and then the next work order until you reach the quarterly, then it's going to show here. If you go into the plans, it's a little bit different. So the job plan tasks are carried over to the work order. And because this is the quarterly one, it should have that grease bearings task down here. And then whereas if you go back one, this work order does not have the grease bearings task.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, so let's switch over back to the slides.
Quick question for you.
Go ahead.
If are these set up so that they're reoccurring on a fixed functionality, or is it dynamic? Meaning if by chance a monthly did not get completed, will the next monthly or the quarterly in the job plan generate regardless?
So it's on a fixed schedule, and let me just quickly switch back over to the demo instance. And I'll show you how that was set up here. So in the frequency tab, I have this use last work order start date to calculate next date checked off here. So which means that this next due date is always going to calculate based off of whatever the previous one was. So for example, the next work order that's going to come out, it's going to be fixed on 1 month. So it's going to come out July 17th. And then the cycle after that, it's going to come out in August 17th. Just like you see here. And then if this was unchecked, it would calculate based on the completion date of the work order. So for example, if you had the work order completed on, say, June 20th, then the next due date will come out as August 20th. Then that's if this is unchecked. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No problem. Okay, so just gonna skip over to my next slide. All right, so key takeaways. PMs define when work happens. Job plans are templates that define what work is performed, and then job plan sequencing helps you reduce duplication and simplify your setup. Alrighty, we'll pause here for questions before wrapping up. Are there any questions?
Hi, I have a question. So if we perform intermittent preventive maintenance, let's say equipment failed and to get it back up and running, we did some preventive maintenance and we enter into Maximo, will that prevent another PM from generating at its schedule when it's due? If the preventive maintenance done is already covering the items that's going to be generated.
Okay, I'm sorry, Kevin. It was a little hard to hear you. Did anyone else from my team catch that question?
Sorry, maybe this is a little bit better.
Oh yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay, perfect. So my question is, let's say a preventive maintenance is due next month, but before that, the equipment broke down and people had to come fix it. We had to create a work order and do preventive maintenance there. So if work is already being done on a separate work order, would that update the schedule for next month? Would that prevent it from coming up? Or because it's not due at that point because it's done like a week prior or something?
So it does not. So if the asset needed fixing on it and a CM work order is created on it, it will not update the next PM due date. And I can show you how to manually update that due date for you here.
I think he's saying like if you pull ahead the PM work order, sometimes you will do that. The PM would correct the condition so you wouldn't have a CM work order. So you're taking credit for the PM essentially.
Okay, gotcha. So is that
Yeah.
okay. So you manually generated a PM work order outside of its frequency. So you just have this use frequency criteria set up here, and then when you manually generate the work order, this next due date here will update based upon that date. Does that answer your question?
Oh, so if you manually generate a PM work order and link it to an existing schedule, then it would push the next due date.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay, so thank you for joining today's Lunch and Learn. If you're interested in setting up automatic meter-based work order generation or need assistance with using job plan sequencing, feel free to reach out to the NACE Maximal team and we'll be happy to assist. And I'll be sending out a copy of the slides later this afternoon, along with the YouTube recording once it's uploaded, which should be this afternoon as well. And we hope to see you at our next Lunch and Learn session in July, focusing on inspection forms, which will be presented by Jack Harrison. So be on the lookout for the Lunch and Learn registration link that'll be sent out in the next few days or so. And alrighty, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.